Hello, my name's Wendy Wallace. I'm the Royal Literary Fund Writing Fellow at UCLH. And today we're going to do a short exercise in writing a poem for people who don't normally write poems. And I'd include myself as one of those. This is an exercise from Kate Clanch's book, How to Grow Your Own Poem. And what we're going to do is write on the theme of I come from. And I'm going to start by reading an extract from an I come from poem by Robert Sita. I come from do, re, mi, the sound of music, recorders, clarinets, a pianola all the way from Scotland. I come from rats behind the garage and a man who followed me back from the library. I come from silence. I come from a garden, from my father mowing the lawn into the dark, from fences, walls, gates, and hedges, Cuthbert's seed packets, the perfect small garden, from the sound through the night of trains, trains, trains. So that's an extract from Robert Sita's poem. And now we're going to have a go at writing our own. I'm going to give you a series of 5 prompts. And after each prompt, we're going to write for 60 seconds on the theme of I come from. So if you just start for a moment by thinking about what I come from means for you in terms of your childhood experience. And take your piece of paper and write I come from. And we're going to write first for 60 seconds on the objects that were around you in your childhood home. I come from, and think of things that were around when you were a child. You can write these things as a list. You can write in whole sentences. And if you run out of steam, you can just start again with the words I come from. And think of things you remember. Robert Sita came from Cuthbert's seed packets, from rats behind the garage, from recorders, clarinets, a pianola. What did you come from in terms of things? Got another 10 seconds. Okay, good. Now for the second part of our poem, we're going to write in terms of food, things that you ate, things you drank, sweets perhaps, or snacks that you had, or things that people around you ate and drank. Do the same thing again. Write on your paper, I come from, and then cast your mind back to tastes and foods and drinks of your childhood. And again, you can write them in lists, you can describe them or simply name them. You can say what you loved and what you hated. Let's write for another 30 seconds on the food that you come from. Now for the third part of the poem, again, write I come from on your paper. And now think of the sounds of your childhood. What were the sounds in the air when you were a child? And what sounds were not there? Robert Sita came from silence? What did you come from in terms of sounds? We'll write for another 30 seconds on that. Once again, if you run out of ideas, just start again with the words I come from and see what comes. Just be free on the page. Now the next part of our poem, and this is the fourth out of 5 elements. What about the people? Write for, let's say, 45 seconds about the people that come to mind when you write the words, I come from. Now, these might be the people in your immediate family, they might be in your community. What comes to mind? Or they might be the people who are no longer there, the people who are missing. I come from, and write about the people. Now for the last part of our poem, and we're just going to write for 30 seconds on this last theme, which is the wider world that you come from. Again, write the words I come from and think beyond your own home, your own community. What did you come from in terms of the wider world around you or your own imagination as a child? I come from, and we'll write for 30 seconds on that. Okay, so you've now written your poem, and I hope that you will read your poem aloud to yourself. And if you want to add to it or work a bit more on it, that would be great. It's your poem. Just to conclude, I'm going to read a couple of extracts from a poem that someone else called Asfa Awad wrote in response to this I come from exercise. And these are parts of her poem. I come from the streets that replaced grass and flowers with concrete and syringes. I come from grey flats, towering, injecting venom into the sky's blue skin. I come from salty tears running down his stubbled chin, gorilla hands stained from building car parts, factory work, the one-way ticket to a better future. I come from insanity, from catching falling stars, born of the pregnant night, aflame with dreams and poetry. Thanks very much for taking part in this short poetry workshop. Bye-bye.